Fable is gonna be complete shit. And the best part, it's getting worse. It is getting actually unbelievably more worse. From the beginning, it looked already bad. The forced diversity giants, the main character looking like a damn piece of garbage. It was bad. And then we got the gameplay reveal. Oh my god, that was bad. That was so absolutely horrible. I could get better gameplay off of Temu. That gameplay was worse than Temu. It looked abysmal. The story elements that we heard, the developers speaking about their own game and saying, oh, you know what? We all love Fable here, obviously. That's why we're making it. But evil doesn't exist and good is also not a thing, so there will not be any bad or good choices. Moral grayness, the absolute epitome of modern day wokeism. And seriously, I think one of the greatest faults of the modern day incapability of storytelling is the fact that everything is gray and white. Evil is not evil, good is not good. It's just shades of boring, bland, absolutely forgettable, gray. And that's what they did. That's what they absolutely have done so far. It looks abysmal. Absolutely abysmal on all levels. And after the backlash, they actually decided to do something, which means the backlash worked, boys. Whoever told you complaining doesn't actually work is an idiot. Complaining is one of the best things that you and I as consumers can do. If you don't like how Fable looks for any reason, complain! And it worked. Well, I say it worked, but the results were obviously not exactly good anyway. People were complaining that you can't even create your own customizable character, because everyone knew you can't. The main character was this new female thing-looking creature that was 10 out of 10 ugly. And then they added, okay, we're gonna give you an option to make a male character equally ugly, though. Just so there's no mistake. And they did it in such a rush that everyone could tell that the walking animations are still from the female, so you get a dude who walks who walks really strangely. Hilarious. And it's seemingly this backlash, this absolute hate, has garnered even more results because at this point, the studio making Fable, even though it's about to release after, 11 years in the oven? But as some British people would say, all the best games have been cooking for 10 plus years. No, seriously, there's maybe like 4 or 5 British people at this point who want actually Fable to come out in the first place because their whole existence is kind of sadly based around the game. It is what it is, boys. It is what it is at the end of the day, right? There's no saving Britain, so why even bother at this point? But yeah, the studio that is making Fable is experiencing a layoffs and the game's not even out.
Once again, we see that there are consequences for some of these gaming studios who choose to follow industry trends instead of listening to the...
You can have a house and raise mixed-race babies in it. Yeah, the dream.
...actual customers. Doing so often results in pure
failure.
I have talked about this many times, but for some reason, too many of these gaming studios simply cannot get this through their heads, but the vast majority of people who play video games are dudes. Look at the numbers from the Capcom Super Elections from a few years ago, for example, where
Lamau, Capcom, listen. Wizards of the Coast have told me that 50% of all people playing Magic the Gathering are female. Now, why can't I find any of them is questionable. Why do I have more dick pics sent to my email than anything else? Also, maybe my fault, technically. But still questionable. Oh, Blizzard told me also that 50% of their player base is female. Now, granted, it's probably a little bit skewed there, but it's still not even close to 50%. It's strange. It's strange, isn't it?
They asked people to respond to polls talking about their favorite Capcom games and characters. There was no rule which prevented women from participating. The only thing that would have prevented them from voting was enthusiasm. There are tons of data points like this one showcasing that this is the audience. This right here represents the true audience for gaming. And with that in mind,
I don't think that's true. I don't even honestly think 1 in 9 gamers are female. Well, maybe actually. Maybe 1 in 10 seems reasonable. But I think it's probably like 9%, 8%, 7% in reality.
when it comes to female characters in games, there is a particular aesthetic that men are interested in seeing.
I just want to see some boobs.
And what men generally don't want to see in female characters is this right here.
Listen, I don't want to see that in a male character, let alone a female. Oof.
The design of the female main character from Fable is just plain wretched and has been getting shit on by gamers for years now because she is obviously intentionally designed to be hideous at a certain point.
Again, and the funny part about that is, yeah, it is actually completely on point about the fact that she is intended to be hideous. Because the person actually doing the facial casting for it, the body casting, whatever that process is called, is actually good looking. She is very good looking. I'm not a 10 out of 10 by any means, but she is very much good looking. Most people will easily agree and say, yeah, she's hot. So what happens always in these games is the most hilarious thing ever. You see, women are allowed, but only if they're ugly. Hot women are not allowed to exist in these things. For some reason, it's not that we need to include women in gaming. It's the fact that ugly women can only be included in gaming. Hot women, no, they don't exist. What's that? Stellar Blade was made and modeled by an actual woman. That doesn't count. That does not count. She's not real. She's actually not real, obviously. And the same here. They will, whenever they have an actress who's ugly, they will never do anything. They will keep it as it is or make her hotter. But whenever they have someone hot, they will uglify her instantaneously. It's crazy.
It has become obvious that these game studios are simply spiteful toward the male audience. They know what male gamers want, but they choose to cater to the feminist crowd anyhow because they think they're fixing the world or something. But a lot of these types of games, ranging from South of Midnight to Star Wars Outlaws to the Perfect Dark reboot.
Star Wars Outlaws, I actually think they also had a thing with that actor. She looked good in real life.
Which was canceled, those games have flopped and or were canceled because a large chunk of the audience refuses to play as these ugly girl boss characters.
I'd rather eat glass.
Well, one of the studios working on this upcoming Fable reboot, Eidos Montreal, has been suffering from some devastating numbers of layoffs over the past year. It looks like another round has just hit them, and if the numbers are correct, then this is a massive chunk of their employees. And to top it all off, the head of the studio himself has reportedly been jettisoned from the company, and considering this company's history with Tomb Raider pushing the so-called more realistic version of Lara Croft in the trilogy from last decade, it seems
are they the ones who want to uglify her again?
Seems that their failures are catching up to them. In recent years, this studio, Eidos Montreal, has turned into a glorified support studio. They haven't been entrusted with their own project for a long while, and as the release date of Fable approaches, with development for that game winding down, it would seem like they might be having trouble finding more work. It's never a good sign when the head of a studio is let go. It seems that there might finally be consequences for pushing the sort of character in games that makes us all go,
"You're ugly!"
Ah, God, I love Futurama. It is the best.
Alright, me hearties, Eidos Montreal has been on a pretty bad run for years now. The glory days of Deus Ex are long behind them. They took over the Tomb Raider franchise in the middle of the 2010s, and they made Lara Croft.
Well, the glory of Deus Ex was way, way long behind them because everyone remembers only one Deus Ex game, okay? And that, well, that is that one. But there was actually another Deus Ex game after that one, and everyone hated it. Pretty much hated it.
Looks slightly more masculine with every installment of the franchise until finally that mentality culminated in the Netflix cartoon where she just
Yeah, this was hellish indeed.
flat out looked like a dude in a wig. Sales of the first Tomb Raider reboot game were pretty solid, but as soon as this studio took over with the 2 sequels, the sales numbers took a nosedive.
You know what I always find funny about this? When you release a drawn bow, it does make a sound. it makes a sound. It does make a pretty audible, reasonable to hear sound. So, you know, being stealthy with a bow next to someone is, yeah, questionable.
This is the same studio that worked on Marvel's Avengers several years ago now, and that game was, of course, a tremendous flop. And they put out the Guardians of the Galaxy game, which I actually hear is pretty good. I have a copy sitting in my backlog, which I plan to get around to.
I heard that it's pretty mediocre. It's nothing special, but it's not actually abysmal.
Eventually, but for whatever reason, that game did not do well at all either from a sales perspective. In fact, it sounds like it massively underperformed, and ever since then, they have not had many projects to work on. They have been relegated to a role as a support studio pretty much exclusively, doing work on Fable, and apparently they've been working on Grounded 2 with Obsidian. At one point, there was talks of another Deus Ex game getting made, but that was cancelled a couple of years ago. And really, it seems to me that this whole trajectory that they have been on could have been altered a decade ago if they hadn't tried to appeal to the progressive crowd, turning Lara Croft into a more butch version of herself over time. Now, with their work on Fable, they've got a bit of a reputation.
By the way, all of this just to try and gaslight people in believing that women are as strong as men. It's great, don't get me wrong, I find this absolutely hilarious. This is how we got Black Snape, and I'm a big fan of Black Snape, obviously. You know, Harry's gonna be like, who could have stole this? Oh yeah, the only black guy in Hogwarts. It's gonna be great, it's gonna be great. But yeah, I love this try, is these feeble, stupid tries in subverting reality. This is what these talentless people can do. They, you know, a great example of what's happening here and what is happening in general is the simplification of every brand icon and you know, stuff like that. The brand icon. You know, previously it was some kind of artistic, colorful stuff, an interesting logo. And now it's just like, you know, the first letter and maybe second first letter of the 2 words that the brand consists of, and that's it. And how did we get here? Well, it's being actually good at creativity is kind of hard. You know, that's why I'm a React channel. And a lot of people want to be creative, but they can't be. So these people figured out, wait, I can't design a cool, interesting, fun logo that everyone will love. I can only design dull and fucking boring shit. So they decided that they can do the second best thing after being actually good at their job, and that is lie and subvert the fact that it actually is better as this. The lower quality, more boring, dull, and less appealing one is actually better. Because you wouldn't expect that now, would you? And this is what they did. And this can be traced, well, seen and traced, I guess, in the whole of the world. You see the simplification of things that shouldn't be simple just because people who don't fucking have any skills got in positions that can actually impact these things. And since they don't want to be shit at their jobs or would be considered talentless, they just changed what good was. Disgusting.
Developed for working on intentionally ugly female characters, at least with a large chunk of the gaming crowd, and I have to wonder if that isn't catching up to them now. Fable is supposedly set to release this fall, so development is probably winding down on that game, which likely explains why we are seeing this headline.
Development is probably increasing on Fable massively, by the way, because again, the backlash from their audience, the fact that there's literally no one even trying to defend them, they are taking note. I think they are taking note, so they're probably working a lot harder. Now, granted, can anything save Fable at this point? I doubt it, but...
Here, this article is from IGN talking about the layoffs that hit the company. It says down here in the article, Deus Ex and Tomb Raider developer Eidos Montreal has announced a wave of layoffs alongside the departure of head of studio David and Fossey. The Embracer Group developer confirmed the significant reduction to its workforce with a social media post today. Its message comes with confirmation that 124 employees across its production and support teams have been let go as a result of changing project needs. And I speak a little bit of corporate bullshit, so allow me to translate. When they say changing project needs, what they almost certainly mean is that Fable is nearly complete, so Eidos Montreal likely doesn't have any more work to do on that game. And since the company has been in the shitter for the past decade or so, well, they don't have enough work to justify keeping all of these people around. But let's read on. The article continues, "Today is a difficult day for our studio and reflects the need to adapt and concentrate efforts where Eidos Montreal can be most effective," the Eidos Montreal post says. "We are deeply grateful to the team members impacted. This decision is not a reflection of their talent, dedication, or performance. Supporting those impacted with care and respect remains our priority, while ensuring continuity for the teams moving forward." And
I love these corporate letters that say that the thing that just happened is actually, we care about it happening and it's bad and we didn't want this to happen and blah blah blah. I love it.
Fossey first joined Eidos Montreal as a producer in 2007 and eventually went on to take the role of head of studio in 2013. His time at the game developer saw him oversee projects like Deus Ex Mankind Divided, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, Marvel's Guardians of
Wait. Was Deus Ex Mankind Divided because I don't remember. Let me Google that real quick. Deus Ex Mankind Divided. Was that the good one or the bad one? Nah, this was the good one yet. The next one after that. What is the next one after that called? Because that's the bad one. Huh. Interesting.
Galaxy and more, but they haven't been involved in anything that could be considered a true success in a long-ass time, and that's a big problem. Each Tomb Raider game after the 2013 reboot sold significantly less than the previous game. In fact, Shadow of the Tomb Raider in 2018 had nearly cut the sales of the franchise down by half, and then they followed that up with Marvel's Avengers. That is simply not...
By the way, is anyone else also appealed the fact that, you have this Call of Duty type bullshit? Headshot! Stealth kill! It's so tiresome. I'm so tired of this.
Avengers. That is simply not the trajectory that you want to see. But the article continues here. It says, "No new head of studio has been named yet. Details regarding the reasoning for Anfasi's departure after 19 years at the company and where he may be heading next remain unclear. We thank David for his contributions and wish him the best in his future endeavors. The message.
Surely. In any case, Fable's gonna be garbage. No one actually cares about that studio being allayed bad because honestly, do you care? No, I don't. You don't. No one does. Anyway, that was Dr. Disaster 10 out of 10. Bye.